he's doing?
Well, I like smelly candles and I like horror movies. I just wish I could put them together.
No, you can, thanks to Deadites on Deck Horror Shop.
What?
We have Freddy's Nightmare. You know what that sounded like, Steve?
Charred flesh.
No, marshmallow.
Oh, I get it.
But we also have other scents.
I don't have any.
We have Henrietta Honeysuckle. We have the stuff. It's cupcake scented. We have the all new Christine's Fury cherry cola scented.
Cherry cola.
It's so great I can't even speak.
Cherry cola.
And Farmer Vincent's Critter Fritter. You know what scent that is, Steve?
Terror or horror motel?
No, bacon.
Bacon.
Yeah. It's bacon. Yeah. Okay.
Kevin Bacon!
So do you know what else we have at Deadites on Deck?
There's no way you got t-shirts.
I just
What's this?
It's the all new I Love Robert England shirt.
How did I get this on?
I put it on you when you're sleeping.
Oh.
And you also have the Friday Foolish shirt with Dana and Candace that you can usually watch every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern time.
Wow.
So what else do we have?
I'm going to go take a nap.
We have Booga Booga Bears that you can customize with your favorite horror design.
I'm going to go take a nap.
Steve sleeps with his every night. That's actually mine, but he's running off with it. So in addition to all of that, I'm not done yet. This is like, Steve's going to destroy my Booga Booga Bear. Okay, we have teas for, you need to put that up. Dorothy's
I
getting
got a Booga
excited.
Booga dog.
So we have Terror Time teas. We have England's elderberry spice. Doesn't that look like Robert England to you?
Sure, let me take my... Yeah, it looks just like him.
We have Angela's Honeybee Sting.
Ding!
We have Bates Motel Breakfast Blend.
Breakfast blends.
Leatherface's Lemongrass.
Kiss my ass.
Herbert's Folly. And what else do we have? We have Mr. Joe Spinell drinking his tea. And guess what kind he's drinking, Steve? He's drinking Maniac Mint.
Whoa.
So, do you think everybody should go to deaditesondeck.com?
I think everybody should go with your SSI check or your paycheck and spend 35% of their total income on Dana's stuff.
Only 35%?
Okay, 48% of your monthly income.
Look at this great t-shirt that you can get.
Yeah. I heart with a glove. I heart gloves, Robert England. And this dog. You get a free dog with every purchase.
No, we don't have enough dogs to do that.
Oh.
Once 5 purchases was up, we'd be out of dogs, Steve.
Well, this is some great stuff, Dana.
Yeah.
Where can we get all this and more?
We can get this at the Deadites on Deck Horror Shop at deaditesondeck.com. Visit us now.
Visit often.
And spend a lot of money. No, just kidding. Bye, everybody.
All messed up.
Hey, gang, and I realize that I'm more than likely crisscrossing with the Dead Pit stream, for which I did not intend to do, and I apologize to those guys, but I think probably most people will rather hang out in their stream than come to mine anyway, so that's okay. You can always watch this on the replay if you're at all interested. But this is another slash-tastic episode of They're All Messed Up. And these are both physical copies that Steve owns. I have My Dear Killer on DVD, but I was lazy and didn't want to go in the back room to get it. So we're going to be talking about the kills and a little bit about the plot for Death Walks at Midnight and My Dear Killer here in just a little bit. But I want to get some housekeeping stuff out of the way before we get into the movies. I want to remind y'all to hop on over to the Deadites on Deck horror shop if you haven't visited or visited in a while, and check out all the cool stuff we've got there. Tell them Poe sent you. Poe is, of course, the official mascot of the Deadites on Deck horror shop. I have t-shirts, I have hats, I have mouse pads, I have tote bags, I have blended teas, I have candles, Booga Booga Bears, the Pyro plushies. The first of those to be put out will be the Poe Pyro plushie that hopefully will soon be making its way to the shop site. If you are not a horror fan, or you're a horror fan, but you get on there and you're like, gee, Dana, I don't see the design that I would like on a t-shirt or a hat or a tote bag, mouse pad, whatever. The great thing is that I do custom work. So all you got to do is fill out the handy dandy form on the homepage of the shop and tell me what it is you so desire. If you've started a new business or you've got a side business going and you'd like logos put on hats and t-shirts, if you want multiple ones, we'll work together. We'll cut you a deal on that. All you got to do is just ask. I mean, it's, you know, I'm not going to come over to your house with a flamethrower or anything. You know, as long as it's legal, I am up for designing whatever it is you so desire. I can also put your kids, your grandkids, your pets, you and your significant other on t-shirts and hats and tote bags and mouse pads and all that good stuff. Plus, you can get candles. You can get blended teas. You can get a Booga Booga Bear. You can get a Pyro plushie soon. So all kinds of cool stuff on the site, or cool in my opinion. Anyway, but movie roulette is in full effect tonight because this is a live stream, and during any of the live streams, including watch alongs, you can play movie roulette. And how do you play? Well, you give a $5 or more super chat during any of my live streams, and you could pick any movie of your choosing for me to watch and do a review over for an upcoming episode of Movie Roulette. We do, speaking of watch alongs, we got a couple of watch alongs coming up this weekend. Saturday's watch along will be Edge of the Axe, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And this will be the last watch along weekend where we have 2 movies. Because it just it has occurred to me the last few of these that I've did, that the Sunday ones don't seem to be as popular with people for whatever reason. So after this watch along weekend, the movies will be only on, or the movie will only be on Saturday. Okay. But if there's a clamoring for me to go back to the Saturday, Sunday movies, watch alongs on both nights, I will definitely consider it. So, you know, don't be shy about, you know, saying, hey, Dana, you know, I really liked when you had a movie on Sunday as well. But it just occurred to me here lately that people are not coming into them. And it might be because they're tired and they're getting ready for work on Monday and they don't want to be sitting up late watching a movie with me. It could be for other reasons. It could be that they're not interested in the movies. However, I thought it was kind of funny that people would vote on them, but they wouldn't show up for the watch alongs. Maybe they forgot. I'm not trying to be nasty or anything. I'm just saying. But I think that's probably it for the housekeeping stuff. So let's go ahead and get into these movies. The first movie is, of course, Death Walks at Midnight. Came out, it was released in 1972, directed by Luciano Ercole. I'm probably massacring that name. And again, this is Steve's copy of this. I had never seen Death Walks at Midnight before. And to be totally honest, even though this is kind of cool ass cover, this movie to me was as boring as all get out. Okay. Yeah, it was not, it didn't hold my interest. But we did have 6 deaths in this movie, or 6 kills in this movie. But the majority of them happened during the last few minutes of the film. Okay, so you made me sit through. We had one spectacular kill at the beginning, and then nothing during the majority of the movie, except I think it was Susan Scott running around screaming and carrying on about stuff. Okay, so we had a woman smashed repeatedly in the face with a metal fist of spikes, and you can see that on the front cover here. You get a man stabbed in the chest, a man pushed off a roof, man shot in the chest, another man shot, and a woman stabbed in the chest. Okay, so not a very eventful movie. This is the second film in Luciano Ercole's Death Walk series. And his third directorial effort to feature his wife, whose real name is Nieves Navarro, aka Susan Scott. So they're saying it's the director's masterpiece. I don't agree. I hope his other films are better than this. I know it was supposed to be a giallo, but it was not a good giallo to me. It was written by Ernesto Gastaldi, who did Your Vice is a Locked Room and Only I Have the Key, and Torso, which are both, even though I don't much care for Torso, are much better films than Death Walks at Midnight. So Susan Scott stars in this film as Valentina. She's a model, and why on earth she agrees to do this, I don't know. But she agrees to take or be injected with a mind-altering drug and then have a photo shoot. But during this, she sees a brutal murder in the apartment opposite of hers. But she tries to convince everybody. She runs around screaming, carrying on and off throughout this movie. I guess I'm probably not a huge fan of Susan Scott because I've seen her in other films that Steve has watched. I think Steve is fond of her. I think mainly because she's a redhead. And, Steve didn't marry a redhead, but he likes redheads. I know a lot of men like redheads. I was always told that my dad liked redheads. He didn't marry a redhead either, but, there's just something about redheads. As Wooderson says in Dazed and Confused, I love those redheads. So there's something about guys and redheads. So, technically this is a giallo and it's a mystery thriller like film, but I just was not a fan of this one. not that I have to have blood splashing up on the screen every 5 seconds or anything, but to have this spectacular murder at the beginning and then nothing for the majority of the film. And this was a film that was, I think, an hour 41 minutes, hour 42 minutes. And that's just way too long for not a lot to happen in it, other than Susan Scott running around here screaming, there is a murder, there is a murder, you know. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a rating before I move on to My Dear Killer. So I'm going to at least give it 3 deadites out of 5. You know, that murder at the beginning, that kill at the beginning was pretty cool. But the rest of it was just kind of lackluster. Okay. So the next one is My Dear Killer, which like I said, I own a copy of this that I bought years and years ago when I really got into the Argento movies and stuff like that. And this is, of course, it's not an Argento movie, but I started wanting to watch other giallos by other directors. And so I bought several of them at that time. And My Dear Killer was one of them that I purchased. And of course, it has this cool ass cover as well. So this one, well, we'll talk about the kills first, and then I'll get into the plot of it. But I had forgotten everything about this movie, by the way, because I've seen it like 1, maybe 2 times, but that was years and years ago. So this was like watching it with fresh eyes. So this one also came out in 1972, directed by Tonino Valeri. And we only have 5 deaths in this one, but they're more memorable. The film's more memorable. The film, in my opinion, is a much better film than Death Walks at Midnight. So, hey, John. So this movie is, like I said, it starts out with a bang of a kill. So a man is decapitated by a dredger or an excavator is probably what we would call it. He's actually picked up by his head and then just kind of thrown on the ground. The head rolls. I was like, yeah, I'd forgotten about that. That is a cool ass kill. And then the other kills in the movie are, they're okay, but they're not as spectacular as that first kill. Okay. So we have a man that's hung, a woman strangled, a woman cut up with a circular saw. That was a good one too. That one and the first kill are the 2 best. And then a man is beat to death with a statue. So this movie, My Dear Killer, tells the story of a little girl, Stefania, and her father who were killed. And so again, it's a murder mystery, which that's what giallos are. So people start getting killed off that had some kind of connection with Stefania and her father. The insurance adjuster who investigated the murders, he was the first death. He was the one that got decapitated by the excavator. I thought that was, I know I keep talking about it, but I thought that was a very inventive kill, very creative. I don't know that I've ever seen a kill like that before or since this movie. So then again, you have the girl that's slashed to death with a circular saw, the woman that we see on here. And there's quite a bit of blood in that one. I'm not sure why. I mean, she was a teacher of Stefania's, and I'm not sure why she was so brutally massacred, but it was cool to watch. And I don't want anybody to think I'm a sicko or anything, but part of the thing with giallos is seeing these creative, morbidly, grotesquely beautiful I've always said things like Argento's films are almost like a canvas that somebody is just throwing blood all over. They're like gruesome artwork, and I think it's a credit to Argento and some of these other Giallo directors that they're able to create this kind of stuff. So this, My Dear Killer, was a good one. It was a good one. Had a good mystery surrounding it. I had forgotten who the killer was and could not, pick them out of the suspects in the film. And I'm not going to give it away for those of you that haven't seen My Dear Killer, or you're like me and it's been years since you saw it and you forgot everything in it. But I'm going to give My Dear Killer 5 deadites out of 5, because this one was a really, really well made, fantastic, in my opinion, Giallo. So I know this is pretty quick, but I was doing this one late, and much later than I had intended to. I wanted to at least do it by 9 or 10, but I didn't realize that these two movies were as long as they were. I think like I said, Death Walks at Midnight was about an hour 42. My Dear Killer was an hour and 38 minutes. So I hope that you guys and gals, I know that John was in the chat, so I appreciate him popping in here to say hey. Oh wow, yeah, rearranging movies at any time it's exhausting work. So oh man, good luck on that. And make sure you take plenty of breaks and all that stuff. I don't even know if I could rearrange movies very well nowadays, because I'm getting so old and stiff and getting arthritis, and yeah, it's hard to get up off the floor. And I was used to, back in the day, just hopping up and bouncing around, and at some point it got harder and harder to get up off the floor. So I don't like to get on the floor. But usually when I rearrange mine, like if I bought several new ones, and it's the librarian in me, folks, I like to keep everything in alphabetical order, and Steve does not. I like things in strict alphabetical order, and Steve could care less. But that's why Steve stands back here for several minutes trying to find a movie that he wants to watch. And I'll come back here and I'll say, "What are you looking for, Steve?" And he'll say, "Well, I'm looking for this one. I know I have it." I said, "Well, if you had these in alphabetical order, strict alphabetical order, not have them lying in different places and stuff, you'd be able to find stuff." You say, "LOL, I gave up on that years ago." Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think it's the librarian in me, or the ex-librarian in me, that causes me to have all that order in my life, especially with my movies. Otherwise, I'd be like Steve. I'd be standing back here, for minutes and minutes and minutes. John, you say I got Ghoulies by Rain Man. Yeah. I had to read that twice, John. I was like, what's he saying? Oh, he's got Ghoulies on the shelf beside Rain Man, which, yeah, I find that funny. Got a G title by R title, and 2 different types of movies as well. And I used to keep my horror movies separate from my comedies and my dramas and stuff like that, and sci-fi and stuff. But then I gave up on that a long time ago. And I was like, I just don't have enough space to separate all these. So the Blu-rays and the 4Ks, they're just in alphabetical order, unless they're like, Night of the Living Dead and the sequels. I'll put the sequels with the original movie, of course. But anyway, I want to thank John for hanging out with me in the chat tonight. It's always good to have someone in the chat. Now I've got more people than I've had this whole time. I'm getting ready to get off here. But I want to thank everybody that popped in for any amount of time to watch as I talked about Death Walks at Midnight, My Dear Killer. And I would also like to thank in advance those of you that maybe didn't have time to come in while I was doing this live, or maybe you could come in here for a little bit and then you had to get back off here. Because I know everybody's lives is not as streamlined as we would like. Mine's not even. So the great thing about having this stuff on YouTube is you can, go and take a gander at my live streams, even when I'm not live, because they'll be on my channel. But I also wanted to remind people that there are several ways that you can support me and the channel, and they won't cost you a dime. This doesn't include, giving super chats or joining the channel. If you want to and can, that's fantastic. However, there are other ways to support me that don't cost money. One way is by subscribing. If you're liking the content I'm putting out, what are you waiting for? Subscribe. It costs you nothing. I'm not going to come to your door and minister to you or anything like that. I'm not going to give you a business card. I'm not going to, you're not going to be bothered. If you subscribe, fantastic. If you subscribe and don't watch but 2 videos or streams a year, that's fine. Because I'm not going to say, hey, you owe me $5 or you owe me $10. No, I'm not going to do that. So if you're loving the content I'm putting out, or even if you like it a little bit, please subscribe. That helps, get me up there in the algorithms of YouTube. Also, if you really, really like certain streams and videos that I'm putting out, hit that like button. That also helps me get up in the algorithms of YouTube. And hit that notification bell so you don't miss any upcoming streams that I've got coming up. And yet another way is you can share with friends and family members that you think might enjoy the content I'm putting out. Again, that costs you nothing. It costs them nothing. And so I just wanted to remind everybody of that, because I know everybody's not made out of money. And I'm not one to go around begging for money. If you can and want to give super chats, that's why I have things like Movie Roulette. And also, don't forget to vote on the movie that I've got coming up for the next watch along weekend. Again, this weekend's movies will be Edge of the Axe, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturday. And I don't think I said the other one. It was I had to flip a coin because we had to do a tiebreaker between Dirty Dancing and just one of the guys. And just one of the guys went out for Sunday, also starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And that is it for all my announcements and all that good stuff. As always, I'm off like a dirty shirt. This shirt ain't dirty, but I'm off like one. And I want to remind everybody, as I always do before I get off of here for the night, to be kind to one another and blaze that trail. Have a fantastic rest of your Thursday night, folks. Tomorrow's Friday, and we'll be into the weekend. I'm looking forward to it, and I hope you guys and gals are too. And I'll see everybody next time.